Welcome back to the news of the week on the Evo India YouTube channel, where we bring you all of the automotive news updates from the last week right here in one place. Now, there's been a lot of action over the last week, a lot of launches, a lot of international unveils, so let's dive straight into it. Firstly, Citroen has launched a new top-end variant of the C3. It's called the Shine variant, and prices start at Rs 7.6 lakhs ex-showroom. It sits above the Feel variant, which was earlier the top-end variant, and it gets much-needed features that were not available earlier, like electrically adjustable ORVMs, a reversible camera, a day-night IRVM, 15-inch alloys as standard. These were previously an option on the Feel. It also gets front fog lamps, a rear wiper, and a rear defogger. This variant comes with the same 1.2-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, which makes 81 bhp and 115 Nm of torque. Now, this isn't really an unveil, but Hyundai has teased a new micro SUV. It's going to be called the Extra, and honestly, we don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to be spending too much time on it. What we do expect is it to rival the Tata Punch, so it'll sit under the Venue in the lineup, rival the Punch, and it should get Hyundai's 1-litre turbo petrol engine along with the 1.2-litre naturally aspirated engine. It will probably also get a CNG, but we're not sure about that just yet. Volkswagen has announced a slew of new additions for the Virtus and the Taigun to keep these models fresh, and the coolest amongst them have to be the all-black editions in the deep black pearl paint. They look really cool. There are others as well. The Taigun gets a carbon steel matte grey finish, and the Virtus also gets the option of lava blue paint. The Virtus and the Taigun, they also get new drivetrain variants. So the Taigun, when it was originally launched, it got a GT variant with the manual gearbox and the 1.5 engine, and it had a GT Plus variant with the 1.5-litre engine and the DSG gearbox. Now, both the GT and the GT Plus both get manual and DSG variants. So you, as the customer, get more choice. If you want a slightly more affordable option, you have one. If you want top end, regardless of the gearbox, you have that option. The Taigun was also unveiled with trail and sport concepts with exterior styling elements to indicate their off-road and track intentions. Another launch for India is the Lexus RX. Now, the RX, it was showcased at Auto Expo, but the prices were not out. We finally have the prices. It is going to be launched in two variants. So you have the RX 350H, which comes in at 95.8 lakhs ex-showroom, and you have the RX 500H F Sport, which costs 1.18 crores ex-showroom. Now, this is a new generation of the RX, and it gets comprehensive styling updates and also a number of interior changes. In terms of the drivetrains, the RX 350H gets a 2.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine paired with two motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, and a CVT. So it is all-wheel drive, and it has a 0 to 100 kmph time of 7.9 seconds. The RX 500H, that gets a 2.4-litre turbocharged petrol engine. This again is mated to two electric motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, and it gets a 6-speed automatic transmission, not the CVT like on the 350H. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is quicker. It does it in 6.2 seconds, and it has a top speed of 210 kilometers an hour. The RX 350H, it rivals the likes of the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE, the Audi Q7, and even the Jaguar F-Pace. More news from Lexus, and this is from the Shanghai Auto Show. Lexus has unveiled the Lexus LM facelift, and this is significant because the LM facelift is going to launch in India. Compared to before, it gets updated styling. It looks pretty cool. I think it looks very cool. Some people don't like the styling, and it's got a lot of cool stuff under the skin. Firstly, it's available as a 6-seater, a 7-seater, or as a 4-seater. So you've got a ton of space in that 4-seater variant. There's a massive 48-inch screen as well, and the controls for the screen and other functions around the car are integrated into the seat itself. The seats, they also get heated ottomans and are pretty much business class-like seats. In terms of the driving, there's a drive mode called Rear Comfort, where the suspension is set up to prioritize comfort in the rear seat. It also tweaks its behavior under acceleration and braking, so it's monitoring the position of the accelerator and the brakes and tweaking the suspension accordingly to ensure that comfort is maximized. Now the Lexus LM, it gets similar drivetrains to actually what the RX gets. So you've got the 2.4-litre turbocharged petrol hybrid and the 2.5-litre naturally aspirated petrol hybrid engine. Two more SUVs have been unveiled internationally, and the first is the Cayenne facelift. Now, there's a slight change in the variants and what engines they get. So the base Cayenne, it still continues with the V6 engine, but the S now switches from the V6 to the V8 engine. Meanwhile, the Turbo GT, which sits at the absolute top end, it gets a power bump as well. In terms of chassis updates, PASM is now standard, and you also get twin valve shocks to improve the ride. The interiors get an update as well with a more minimal concept for the dash, which is actually heavily inspired by the Taycan. And will it come to India? It definitely will. The other unveil is the Mercedes-Maybach EQS SUV. Now this is significant because it's the first ever all-electric Maybach. It gets a dual motor setup making 641 bhp and 950 Nm of torque. The 0 to 100 km/h time comes in just 4.4 seconds. For a big SUV like that, that is impressive. It also gets a 600 km claimed range. The front end is a completely new interpretation of the traditional Maybach grille, and it comes with dual tone colors as well as other styling cues like Maybach badges all over the car and a generous use of chrome. Now in the interiors, you do get that massive hyper screen, but it does get Maybach specific graphics. At the rear, you obviously get business class like seats in typical Maybach fashion. The screens, they come standard, and you get a tablet on the center console as well for all of the functions around the car. And obviously, you get a 15-speaker 4D Burmester audio system, which I'm sure sounds absolutely kick-ass. Now, the last bit of news today is JLR's announcement towards its electrification goals. This is massive news because JLR has committed to investing 15 billion pounds in its electrification program. Just to give you an idea of what that translates to, that is 1.5 lakh crore rupees. That is massive money, and it's going to invest that over the next 5 years. Part of this announcement is that an all-electric Range Rover is on the way. Orders will begin later this year, and the launch is expected in 2025. The next generations of other SUVs like the Discovery Sport, the Range Rover Velar, the Evoque, these will all be electric only, and these will be underpinned on the EMA architecture. Meanwhile, the MLA Flex platform will continue with the Range Rover and the Range Rover Sport. JLR has also announced the first of its new fully electrified Jaguars. The first car that we can expect from this program will be a 4-door GT car. Now, the claim is that it will be more powerful than any Jaguar that has ever existed before, and the range will be over 700 kilometers. As for the pricing, it will be around the £100,000 mark, which translates roughly to around 1 crore rupees in India. But going by our tax structures, you can expect it to be priced around 2 crores when it finally does launch in India. This car, it will be built on the JEA architecture. More details about all of this, the whole electrification roadmap for JLR, will be released later this year before the cars go on sale in markets in 2024 and in 2025. That's it for the news of the week this week. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been a heavy news week. There's been a lot of excitement. Let me know what your favorite announcement was. What cars are you most excited about in the comment section below? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week.